This is awesome.
Yeah.
We're doing this for the first time. I think it shows. Hello. So,
Yeah.
why don't we
Hi.
introduce each other, right?
All right.
Okay, so this is Ziga. He's the guy in charge of the product and a really good electronics engineer and firmware programmer.
Second best.
All right.
We have another guy at home. That's, let's say, next level in the true meaning of of saying next level.
Cool. So, how many people do we have yet? Do we have a few? I think I'm so new to this. Where's the list of people?
I don't know. Does it matter?
It doesn't, I guess, for you to start. Maybe just run through the product. So
Okay.
let me go here and see. So the way we had it in our mind how to do this one is we're gonna show you mix analog as it is right now, really quickly, for people who are just curious and haven't tried it yet. So Ziga is going to do that. In the meantime, just prepare any questions and write them down in the chat, and then we'll go through and answer them.
Yep.
How
course.
does that work for you guys? Works really well for us.
Yeah. So to get this out of the way as quickly, probably you can watch it backward if you join later. I'm just gonna switch to here.
Yeah. Glorious
So-
mix analog.
Yeah, this is the page where you land when you make your account. So if you log in, if you've created an account previously, or if you're new to this platform and just make an account with, I don't know, Facebook, YouTube, or by using username and password, we accept everything. You get to this page. And this is in fact the main page of our product. It's the booking calendar where you can see different 15-minute slots of the gear that you can book and use later on when your time is up. So first let's start with number one. So to know what you're going to be doing, first you have to select which piece of gear would you like to use. We currently offer Rack 1. That's a combination of a pair of Pultec EQs, a Fairchild compressor limiter, a quite, say, big mastering EQ.
Very nice. Yeah. 5-band.
And a FET limiter. So you can basically make something resembling a complete master with just this Rack 1 alone. Then there is the Telefunken M15 tape machine. That's also a bit automated. The Better Maker mastering limiter. That's the newest addition to our arsenal, and we're really proud of it. And if nothing else gets you, try it because it sounds really, really awesome. And then we have a free product. That's the 1176 Revision A compressor limiter. This one's mono. So unfortunately, you cannot, as of yet, squash your stereo drum room tracks, which I'm very much looking forward when we set up a stereo system. And then last but not least, there's the Gold Can VCA compressor. That's the, let's say, SSL-inspired bus compressor. We cannot and should not say SSL because we designed it ourselves. So it has quite a few modifications. A lot of them were very popular amongst the DIY community a lot of years ago. And I find a lot of them very useful, so we thought, why not implement them? And there one feature in particular is, I think, as far as I've learned to date, is pretty unique to our design, and this is the fact that it's completely separate dual mono with variable sidechain link. So it's when we upgrade it with the MS boards, which are already in production. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Yeah, we're going to be announcing quite a few things actually in this video. So there might be some new stuff you haven't heard about
Yeah.
yet.
So yeah, when it's MS capable, this is going to be a beast of a bus compressor, and it also sounds very, very nice. And while I was talking away, my Rec 1 session became active. So this Start Live button appeared right next to the booking. And before we go there, I would like to explain what those tabs up here do, because a lot of our users seem to miss them, and there's really important stuff up there. So, okay, let's start with sessions. This is a list of all your past and current sessions. So if you made a mistake booking and want to change your date, you can delete your session here, and you will get most of your tokens back by releasing the session early. And obviously, the earlier you release the session, the more tokens you will get back, because if you release it 1 minute before your time is on,
you get all of them back. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you're not familiar with this type of booking and you find it confusing or anything, here's also a Create New tab. So you can select your product and your date and time from right here in the Sessions tab. And one also pretty cool feature is this Continue button. So if you're working on a particular song and you run out of time or just want to continue later, you can use this button here to continue where you left off with the same settings, with same routings and everything. So you save time.
Instead of making a preset and saving and recording it manually, you can just click this, and the last settings that you had active when the session closed is what you're going to get in your new session, so in your new booking, because this actually makes a new session. And you can say, I want to continue yesterday's tape session again, but maybe tomorrow at 4 o'clock.
Yep.
All right.
He said it. Next one is files. So this is where all your uploads and renders end up. So you don't have to re-upload stuff when you've processed it with one product. Let's say you do a session with Rec 1 and you want to finalize it with a little polish of the tape machine. You don't have to download and re-upload your files again. All your bounces end up here in files. And also there's this button, Upload New, and this is where you can get your stuff up to our own little cloud. And for those of you that are very concerned about security, we have a pretty extensive blog post about how this file storage is set up, and we've gone quite far to ensure that it's as secure as we can muster it up, because we care about your private files, and we know that a lot of unreleased music can be pretty sensitive. So yeah, we were thinking about that, and we put quite a lot of hours into making this secure.
To be even more specific, it's not only about security in terms of like, we don't want your files to be hacked, but it's even internal. So Ziga and me actually can't look at your files. It's very involved to get to them, and they're actually anonymized in the process. So even if we could get to the file server directly, there would be just a bunch of files that have weird file names, and they don't identify who it's from or which file it is. And now that we have over 6,000 users uploading stuff every day, yeah, that's a huge mess to sift through if we wanted to do that manually. So be assured, even if we wanted to listen in on your music, we can't. It would be really hard.
Okay. So and the last tab up here is your profile, where you can find what you signed up with. I signed up with my Facebook account. I have my tokens balance right here, which is also reflected up here.
Always, yeah.
And I could enter my VAT number ID.
But don't do that.
Yeah, but I'm not a company. because I work for a company.
Hi, Alan.
So yeah, this if you want your receipt to come with your VAT number, this is here. This is where you can enter it. And this is one I agree switch.
Yeah, for the emails.
Yeah, for us to send you emails. And from, I don't know, I think it was 3 or 4 months ago, we had quite a lot of complaints by our users that a lot of them felt that we are sending way too much emails. So we drastically cut down on those. And I think we're doing a monthly newsletter now.
Yep, yeah, that's mostly it. We do a monthly newsletter, maybe a few emails like jabbing you a bit, but not really. It's just a few emails. There used to be at least 4 times as much.
Yeah.
Hey, Traintum? Yeah. Hi.
So, and one more very important button is this one here. It says buy more tokens. So this is where you can buy your usage credits for non-free gear. It looks like this at the moment, but we are certain at this point in, how could I say, negotiations with another payments provider. So this is going to probably change substantially. So we will accept much more
We're going to accept credit cards, not only PayPal, and actually also wire transfers. So that's cool. And VAT will actually be calculated more properly for more countries. So those are kind of the main sticking points, I guess, with the new system. And it's also much cooler. It has a much nicer checkout experience. So that's gonna be fun. Can't wait to get that to you guys.
Okay, so now that we're through with this one,
let's go twiddle some knobs.
Yeah, let's go twist some knobs. Okay, so this is how you land in the processing app. We nicknamed it the Studio.
Yeah.
And probably before you would start tweaking anything, you would have to select a file, and you do this up here, where it says source.
Yeah.
I have shitloads of stuff already up, but let's use the test files that are provided for each new signed up user. So yeah, once your file is selected, the waveform is going to be displayed in green down there, and you can start twiddling the knobs. And before I go out and drown in music, let's talk about what each and everything here does. So,
sure.
First up, those are the, let's say, quick access slots.
Quick presets.
Yeah.
So
you can load up to 3 different files at the same time and just quickly switch between them. Now, where I found this most useful is to load a reference track in, let's say, number 2 or maybe number 3 and bypass everything with this power button on the converter I/O unit. So there is absolutely no processing involved. It's just straight playback of the file. So I can check against what I'm doing in the actual processing page. Okay, so here are the presets save and recall buttons. So since all the gear is automated, you can operate it just as you would do with plugins. And those presets for now are only for the whole chain. Next is the source. We've already seen that. There's also a upload file shortcut right here. So if you forgot to upload your file before your session started, you can do it quickly here. One more reminder to not get all messed up and confused. The name of the file has to be at least 5 characters long. So if you select a file and want to confirm the upload and it's not working, it's because it's not 5 characters long.
At least, yeah.
So you have to.
It's a fun little.
Yeah. Oh, I think we've just found. No, no, it's not bug. I just have to select the file. So
yeah, actually you
yeah.
have to select the file too. Yeah.
So yeah,
See.
when the file is selected and you enter 5 characters, this confirm button will go purple, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's
And
purple.
you can upload your file and continue with your work. This cog icon here is pretty important. This is your streaming settings, where you can make your buffer longer. So if you have a, let's say, less than ideal internet connection, you can make your buffer bigger, and you'll get less dropouts.
In this particular case, I recommend if the default is not working for you, then go for the max and see if that helps. Because there are situations where a larger buffer size just won't help. And in that case, just contact support. You have, there's usually a chat button at the down right. Just click and I'll answer. But usually you just need to increase your streaming. So go for the max, try that. If that works, just go down to the next smaller one until you get to a problem spot, and then just select the last one that works. And usually the default is fine, but sometimes on some like flaky Wi-Fi's, or if your internet service provider is not so good, then you'll have to change the buffer size to a larger one than default. There's also an option to go from lossless to lossy if you really need it. So I guess if you're on an airport, really need to do something, and they're counting your bytes, and you need to fit everything into 50 megabytes of transfer, then you go for lossy.
Yeah, and just to, for those of you that may not have heard about the Opus codec,
Yeah.
this is a pretty neat encoding. So I would very much suggest it over the MP3, because it packs let's say much more fidelity in practically very similar bitrate than your maxed out MP3.
Yeah.
So yeah, please go with this one if the lossless doesn't do it for you, because if you are processing your tracks with high quality analog equipment, you probably don't want to listen to it in MP3 quality. So,
oh yeah. And just a note here, even if you do select lossy for monitoring, that doesn't actually modify what happens when you bounce. When you bounce, you always get a lossless file with the maximum resolution. So the file is always going to be, right now it's 24-bit wave, but we're going to support 32-bit wave soon. So there's that. Have no fear of using the lossy mode if that's what you need for your network setup. So.
Okay, going on. This
hi Marek.
This sample rate here is locked to your sound card.
Exactly.
So make sure that again, it's only for streaming. Our internal audio engine always runs at 192K.
Yeah.
24-bit.
And so do the converters. So
yeah,
that's the important bit.
So this is again only for monitoring. All the bounces and everything are again done at maximum resolution.
They're done at the resolution that the user selects. But yeah, in terms of sample rate.
Yeah.
If you want to have a 44.1 sample rate bounce, you just select that in the bounce dialog. So you get a file with the sample rate you want.
Okay. And the last setting you can adjust here in the settings tab is the UI scale. This was one very requested feature.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna use it right now. And this makes your GUIs much bigger.
Yeah.
So
it's easier to see. So if you have a huge screen with lots of pixels and everything is very tiny, just use this feature and make it normal sized. And vice versa, if you've got a high resolution screen but it's tiny, then maybe lower the scale so you get enough data on one screen. And yeah.
Okay, just one thing I forgot to mention about those slots up here.
Yeah.
Sorry that I'm jumping up and
Go
down,
for
but I've just remembered that you can actually switch between them with your number keys above your keyboard. So you can be really quick if you want to A/B your settings really quickly.
Yeah, and I don't think we were very explicit about it, but if you do change a setting on one of these slots, these presets, fast presets, and you change them on a different setting, then those settings will also change. So, for example, if you want
try
to
it out.
have, yeah, so this is number 3. We've got some different Pultec settings here, and then if you go back to 2 or 1,
Yeah, one.
so they will immediately recall. And this is analog gear, guys. So this is where it gets me.
Yeah, it's a one. Let's say one insider experience is it sounds kind of cool when we were standing in the machine room doing some maintenance on the tape machine, and someone was logged in and twisting the knobs and recalling stuff and everything, and you can hear all the relays clicking and tick, 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 stuff going around. So it's quite a, let's say, rewarding experience after so much time spent on making the automation and everything.
Right. So I just wanted to jump in just a little because there's already a question. We'll answer them after we run through just a little bit more with the sounds, and then we'll answer all of them. So just write your questions down if you want to, and if there's just a message for the team, well, you're welcome to write it down too. So we'll go through all of the messages after we
I'll
tweak
just
some knobs, huh?
Yeah, just quickly go
All right.
through all the gear, and then we'll get back to you.
All right.
So this here is, let's say, also some kind of overlooked piece of this application, because it shows your signal path. Right
Mhm.
now it's fixed, but the analog router that we developed for the whole system allows for those to be switched and exchanged, and
Yeah.
we are working on the interfacing solution for the app to make this possible.
Yep.
So it's on the way, it's coming, but sadly not yet right now.
Yeah, the sorry truth is that we have so much bug fixing to do that we just don't get around to making this much requested feature that already has hardware support. But yeah, soon, guys.
Yeah.
We're working on it.
Okay, and I think there's just the gear left, right?
Let's do the gear.
Okay, so this is, it looks like a mono channel, but actually there are 2 Pultec units hooked up to the system in stereo. So you're with one interface, you're controlling both the left and
Yep,
the right
2
channel at
machines,
the
yeah.
same time. The next one in the signal chain is the Fairchild compressor limiter. This is a beast of a compressor. And for those of you that are maybe not familiar with all the plugins available and everything, even if people don't own the hardware, they are probably used with the interface and the controls and everything. But still,
There's one more button that we have that
Yeah.
usually is hidden away somewhere in advanced settings, but we thought it was so cool. We wanted to have it on the front because it's so useful. But yeah, I'm jumping ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, the input gain is, I think, pretty self-explanatory. The threshold also, and it works in let's say the more compression means lower number.
Yeah,
So,
lower threshold.
Yeah, lower
So
number
that means more
equals
compression, right?
Yeah,
Going to the left.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
all clear. And it's the same with ratio. The higher the ratio, the higher the number, the higher is the ratio. And those numbers here actually correspond to the actual ratio pretty well. So
Yeah.
the top of the scale is
20
1
to 1.
to 20 to 1.
Yeah.
And you can get to, let's say, very
Gentle.
gentle or
Soft, I guess.
mix bus
Yeah.
compatible setting down the scale. But there's one let's say, quirky little.
Hey, what's up?
Oh,
Hey.
there we go. There's one funny concept ratio control is that it messes up the threshold a little bit. So,
so you have to adjust.
After changing the ratio, if your gain reduction goes away, you would have to adjust the threshold so you get the gain reduction going again. The time constants right here are kind of attack and release settings combined. And numbers from 1 to 4 are, let's say, single constant or fixed attack and release settings, and settings 5 and 6 are combined or auto settings. So there is a short decay time for short transients and a very long, let's say, leveling release constant that are active at the same time. The left, right, and lateral vertical or mid-side optionality is also included in our build, so you can switch between those here. And those controls here are also something you will have to use when you're in mid-side or lateral vertical mode. You can switch off the sidechain link, so your mid-channel will not trigger compression on the side channel, and the link controls button over here allows you to adjust separately the mid and the side channels gain, or your stereo parameter if you find a need for it.
If you need to adjust it.
Yeah. So switch back to controls linked, and they move together. Okay, and yeah,
there's definitely lots of snakes. No, I'm just joking.
Okay, so the next one is the mastering equalizer. This is again our own design. It's a combination of a GML 8200 mastering EQ and Sontec 400 and something.
It's the mastering version of those two guys. It's a very involved design with parallel circuits and lots and lots and lots of stuff inside this box. It took us ages to do, but it's a great design. Great sounding, very clean, 5 bands. I believe because we made a hardware version of this actually first, the customer was like floored with the high band in particular, of getting stuff, the smoothness out of the high bands that he couldn't get otherwise anywhere. So it's a very cool design, and I think the machine itself is a bit intimidating when you look at it. So many knobs and so many things to click. But don't be afraid, just enable a band and go with it, and you'll soon get a hang of it. Yeah.
I for one, was particularly impressed by the mid frequencies.
It does something for everyone.
Yeah. Because that's where, let's say, one of the points where hardware really got me against plugins is this frequency right here. It's 3.9 kilohertz is probably the lowest throw in this how do you call those curves? The ears frequencies.
Not sure.
Yeah, there's a name for the curve that the sensibility of your ear.
Yeah. I used to know that.
We'll remember. And yeah, your ear is most sensible in this 3 to 4 kilohertz area, and just the fact that you can apply, let's say, I don't know, 6 or 7 dB boost in this area with a Q of 2 or maybe even more, and it still doesn't sound like you want to just hit stop.
So just one little interrupt right now is that actually our screen is, our webcam stuff is over the GUI. So I guess we've been explaining a few things while our webcam was over it.
Okay.
So maybe we can just
move
that
here. Okay.
Hopefully it should be better. Let's see. Yeah. Will it work? It works.
Oh yeah. Nice.
All right.
So yeah, we'll
telling us.
Yeah.
Yeah, OBS. It's a great tool.
So yeah, we'll try this EQ later.
Yeah.
And the last unit in the signal chain is this precision limiter.
Mhm.
And again, maybe the controls might seem a bit
Weird.
a bit weird because most of us are used to software limiters when you can just grab the ceiling control in your graphic user interface and pull it down, and there you go.
Everything's just louder and that's it, right?
Yeah. So
analog,
you have to
yeah.
think a bit more with this box. But how I usually go about this one is first adjusting the ceiling. So if I get a lot of volume from the previous boxes, I would adjust the ceiling towards, so this is clockwise, the
Yeah.
clockwise way. So I don't get over, so clipping indication on my I/O unit. And then with the input gain, crank it up until it's too much and back it off a little.
Yeah, that's the best explanation.
Um,
You'll hear it, because this machine definitely lets you know if it's unhappy. So
Yeah.
if it sounds like shit, just back off the gains a bit, and you'll get something useful.
And let's say one more trick to get the most out of this box is I usually get much better results if I go pretty low with the ceiling and watch out with the input gain. And if I'm still hitting, let's say, -3, -4, or even -5 on the I/O unit, I will go back and apply some gain after the limiting carefully until I reach somewhere around -1 or something like that, or even a little bit over,
Yeah.
because the Burl converters that we're using actually clip quite pleasingly. Because this box has a internal resolution, and if you enter it at a pretty high volume and try to gain it at a high ceiling, you will get internal clipping.
Yep.
And that does not, unfortunately, sound very pleasing. So
At least not as good as the burl clipping. That one's much softer.
So yeah, lower ceilings, that's clockwise, and a little bit of output gain will probably get you better results.
Yep.
Most of the time.
I agree.
So okay, enough of talking.
Yeah,
let's hear
let's
what
try
it
it.
does.
This
By
is
the
over
way-
1,000 miles away. Right?
Yeah, actually we're broadcasting from Denmark because we're a guest of Sound Hub, the accelerator. I'll just pause it for
Yeah, so
another minute.
people can actually hear us. Yeah.
Yeah, and half of our team is now in Denmark, and the other half is back in Ljubljana, Slovenia. And actually, we're operating the hardware gear in Ljubljana, Slovenia from Denmark and listening to all of it in real time and broadcasting it over the entire internet.
So to repeat, all of the
Cool.
Q&A questions come after the demo, and we'll be happy to answer all of them, including yours, Witze.
Okay. Yeah, let's listen to some music. Okay, that's too much.
Start again, 8 a.m. Traffic jam inside your head. You
famous
can't trust
Budapest
no one. Too late when the moment's gone. Can't go back and change your mind.
I can
Switch
hear
it
it on
off,
my laptop
press
speakers,
rewind.
that's
Have
weird.
another drink, it'll make you feel better.
And this also never gets old.
So join the
high end
queue,
of
get
that
in
photo.
line. What's the point? I'm sick of trying. Can't trust stories told. We're all trapped in goldfish bowls, trying to work the future out. Living in the here and now. Have another drink, it'll make you
Okay, we're a
feel
little bit more
better.
in the land. I think we can.
Everybody's falling apart. Everybody's falling apart. If the nation feel better, we'll live it together. But everybody's falling
Ooh.
No.
The magazine sold your dreams,
Yeah,
modified
one
on every
useful
screen. You can't reach
trick I
your
did
ambition,
is
procrastinate your
double
decision.
clicking on
When
any
you say
control
you will, you
will enable
won't.
it to
Half the
go
time
to
you
its
do, you
default
don't. Have another drink, it'll make you feel better.
3.9k boost on the computer.
Everybody's falling apart. Everybody's falling apart.
So it's set to 10 dB range. So it's times 2. This is now 8 dB boost with
Everybody's falling apart.
3.9k.
Everybody's falling apart. Everybody's falling apart. It makes you feel better. We'll do it back together, but
Not something I would leave on a master, but I'm just impressed with how this is going. And now for the limiter. So with the ceiling set quite low, close to plus 10 dB.
So let's say
End of the song. Perfect.
let's let it ring out.
Okay, so now with the product demo done, I would say.
I still have to bounce.
Oh, yeah.
Bounce.
So when you want your piece of art all for yourself, bounced in pristine quality, you click this bounce button here. This dialog will pop up. You can rename it right up here. Come on. Okay, so it usually adds a product and a sample rate on
At
the
the
end of
end.
the name by itself. And you can choose your target sample rate from the drop down here. Currently, we only support 24-bit export. And click bounce now. And it will start bouncing. It's a real-time process because it's actual hardware. So yeah, when this indicator reaches the end, you will get a happy message with the download link. And if you don't want to download it
right now, then you
right
don't
now,
have to. So yeah,
yeah.
if you're on that proverbial airport, just did some tweaks, then you can actually just let it bounce and never don't download it until you get somewhere where you can. So
yeah,
where
and,
bandwidth is not an issue.
yeah. So when the bounce completes, you're gonna find your bounces in the files. Mine is not here now because I canceled it.
Yep.
Wait, I'll just put this one here again.
Yeah.
So yeah, you will find your source files and your bounces here even after your session is expired or anything. So just
Yep.
go to the Files tab and everything will be waiting for you there.
Yep. So that's it, I guess, for the demo of the product. So that's the state it's in right now. We have a lot of updates in store. I guess one of the most important ones to announce right now would be the new piece of hardware coming hopefully this month. We're definitely working very hard to get it in. It's the Elysia Music Queue. So it's actually been sent by Elysia to us to make it happen some time ago, actually. And we've worked really hard for it. to be available to you guys. It's quite involved actually, but we see the light at the end of the tunnel. So I guess now in a week or two we're actually going to the stage where we can say it's good enough, where everything is working flawlessly. Yeah, Elysia is great company, great guys, and very nice of them to work with us on this.
Yeah, actually, one more thing about that. As a team and as engineers, we really have to give a shout out to Elysia,
Right.
because when we got the box and we opened it, we were practically floored with the manufacturing quality and the use of components and the layout and everything, and design requirements for the automation were also reflecting their
Yeah. So they have a
philosophy.
their philosophy is everything needs to be very high end inside. So there's no shortcuts anywhere on their product, and they wanted to have the same on automation, which is the best kind of deal if you ask me, because we can also show what we've got. So we could really go for it.
Yeah.
So it's in the same vein as our 5-band precision EQ. It's also quite involved in automation and in the quality of the automation. All of the components that are passing audio are actually passive. So it's been quite a ride. I can't wait to get it to you guys. So we're just waiting for the graphics and a few more firmware fixes, and then we're happy to do it. So hopefully this month. Other than that, I think we already announced the change of payment provider. So we're going away from Braintree, I believe, and off to Paddle, which will enable the use of credit cards and wire transfers. So there will be more easier ways for you to pay if you don't like PayPal. And aside from that, I think. Yeah, aside from that, we're also going to work. The alpha is not yet. The music queue is the one that is already automated, and that we're just going to finish up this month. I'm just answering Mark's question.
I wanted to say that we should really start answering the questions before people run away.
Oh, yeah. Actually, yeah, you're right. So anyway, yeah, there's going to be some nice changes on Mix Analog for quality of life, but we can do that later. Let's answer the questions.
Yep.
All right. Is there any aliasing at conversion? I think this is a good question for you.
I think did we actually do the plot?
Oh, for the sample rate conversion.
Yeah.
So I think we have to debundle this question. Like there's one for the converters, which use oversampling, and there is the question of the sample rate conversion from, let's say.
Okay. Yeah. So let's do them.
Yeah, let's do them separately.
So for aliasing at the stage of AD, honestly, we haven't thoroughly tested or measured it, but we
believe Burl.
Yeah, we really put very high trust in Burl converters, because they're one of the best
Yeah, I think
being
so.
made. So yeah, we didn't doubt them.
I
So
believe it's 256 oversampler.
times or
Yeah.
something. Yeah. Okay.
So very nice oversampling there. Regarding the sample rate conversion and software that we do for monitoring, because we are running all the hardware, all the conversion at 192K. For monitoring and for downloads, we do sample rate conversion on the fly. And that one is we've invested quite a few hours in finding the best algorithms for that. And I believe there's a blog post about it where we prove it with plots that it's one of the best sample rate converters out there. So we've been thinking, we've thought thoroughly about sample rate conversion and made sure that it's really at the edge of what the industry has right now. So
for if you want to Google for more, that's the library we're using to do that is SOXR.
S is SOXR.
Yeah, SOXR. So yeah, and I think there's quite a few parameters that you can tweak there regarding filtering and everything. And we spent those quite a few
Yeah.
hours just tweaking the parameters until we got the best performance possible, while still we can stay pretty real time with no.
Yeah. Yeah, quite a few people are using SLXR at a much lower bit resolution, which I find really lazy. I think it's 18 bits or something like that. And I know we're using 26 or something like that. So, I mean, more than 24. So, over the resolution of the converters. So, for the sample rate conversion, of course, for the filters. So, it's something that we're very conscious of. We don't want to give you guys bad quality bounces at all. So, we think about it all the time. And yeah, let's see. Anything more? Sure, you're welcome. So, okay. Okay, so we've got a great question over here. The best hair conditioner?
I actually don't use one.
Me neither, but I'm thinking. Do we have? We'll have to measure it. It's the only way to do it.
Yeah, well,
So-
I think the only good answer I can think of is when the H is silent, and I've just bought the new aircon unit for my studio a couple of months ago, and I went with Samsung, and it works really good because it's so silent that I can actually mix while it's working, and it's comfortable. It's not bothering me at all.
All right. Diego is asking why we chose 88-200 when we did a bounce. I believe it was just something we clicked.
Yeah, it
Was
was
there
it was
logic
a
behind
random choice,
Okay.
but actually, when I do recording or mixing, I do use 88.2K quite a lot because a lot of my customers still want to release a CD. Even in 2019, there are still people wanting to release the actual CD. And sample rate conversion from 88.2 to 44.1 is much easier mathematically than from other sample rates. And I still like to work at least double the sample rate of the end product because I've studied DSP to the extent that I know that a lot of filters work much better if you give them higher sampling rate,
Oh, yeah.
because the artifacts of digital filtering start to appear close to the
When you approach the Nyquist frequency.
Yeah. close to the Nyquist limit. So yeah, if I gave all my EQs and all my harmonic processors and everything 1 octave more of frequency headroom, they usually behave much more natural in the high frequency, and especially the saturation usually works much better at higher sampling rates. So that's why I do use 88.2 a lot.
Cool. So, next one. Do we plan on connecting mastering engineers and musicians over our platform? It's an excellent question. We've actually had... So, there's a roadmap. I don't know if you guys know about it. We'll post it later on Trello. And there are quite a few features that you can vote on there, ranging from new hardware to like software features and so on. And I believe one of the earliest requests was something along those lines. So connecting, maybe making something like a marketplace.
Yep.
Yeah. So we've been thinking about it. We've done some scoping around it. So we know it's something we'd like to do. Let's put it at that. We'd love to do it at some point, and I can't tell you when we're gonna start, but hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully someday, but it will be quite an undertaking to.
I think we could do it in phases. So I think the first option that I'd love to do at one point is to have a link that you can give to someone and they can listen in on your session.
Yeah.
So I think if we do that, then we're already solving a little maybe problem. And if they can also chat inside that or something like that, then maybe it could be even better, because we do have lossless streaming. And now, you could stream losslessly from your session to someone else. Maybe, maybe that's something that you guys would like. So if you do, just tell me in the chat here or maybe later, and we can discuss it. Anyway, to continue.
I
where
think
are we
next one was about Wes Audio.
Wes Audio. We talked with Wes Audio some time ago when we didn't have, when we already did have mix analog, but it wasn't so advanced. So back then, I believe that the guy running it was really keen on making more stuff that's automated, and I think he's done that eventually. So we really, really like all of the guys who have the guts, I would say, the balls to make digitally controlled analog. We think it's totally the future, and we wanna work with him definitely. So he's on our radar, and we're going to the Musikmesse now in a few weeks. Hopefully we can speak face to face, and maybe there will be something that will happen out of it. We'd love to have a lot of gear on mix analog. Who turns the tape on a tape recorder? The motor does. And the motor is controlled by a microcontroller that Ziga made. I believe both the electronics and
that was
software
actually
is your baby.
Yeah,
right?
that was actually one of my pet projects.
It's probably the most labor-intensive thing we have.
Yeah, it's a
very temperamental piece of gear.
Yeah.
It definitely gave us a lot of gray hair.
let's say an old lady with lots of health problems.
That's not nice.
Yeah, well,
We love our tape
Yeah,
machine a lot.
do.
We'd never change it. if
because it
possible.
requires a lot of love
Oh yeah.
to keep running. But
Oh yes.
yeah,
We've actually just changed the belt, right?
Yeah,
brand
yesterday.
new belt, and the heads have been cleaned recently,
Mm.
like 2 weeks ago, I believe, or 1 week.
no less. Last week, I think.
Oh, okay, cool. And we're going to change the tape, I believe.
pretty soon.
I think in the next few days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just have to do some more measurements and see what's happening. But yeah, I believe
Maybe the question was more about more in line of how old clicks and how it goes back and forth.
sure.
And one, let's say, fun fact is that the Telefunken M15 that we're using as a tape machine already had this big connector on its back that you could connect a simple analog extension transport controller, so you can have a tape machine in one room and your transport control right next to your mixing desk. So I've used this automation connector that was already on the tape machine and just built a software controlled piece of hardware circuit
Yeah. Yes.
that was acting just like this button
The remote control. Yeah.
button remote control unit that was on the original. So actually, it was not very hacky job. We
Yeah.
didn't have to.
We didn't have to cut it apart.
Yeah,
The machine. So the machine is as it was, more or less. I believe
Yeah.
we maybe just I think did quite a bit actually of internal refurbishing. So I know we changed some springs, we changed some bulbs inside that actually control the automation because they detect when the tape has come to the end or when the tension's not right, stuff like that. So we did a thorough job of reinvigorating the tape machine, but
that's
more or
nice.
less it's like it was, and we just made a nice remote for it.
Okay.
So I think the next one is this one. about mastering more than something, yeah, at the same time. So you've got stems or you've got tracks in context. So you want, let's say, a background mix and you want to mix vocals in, or you have something like stems for stem mastering and you want to do that. It's going to require quite a bit of change on both the user interface and the way Mix Analog's built. Unfortunately, it was built with a stereo track in mind. Why we were so short-sighted, it's hard to say, but we know it's a pain, and we definitely want to address that. But first, I believe the bypassing and changing the order of the gear is going to be the first quality of life improvement it will do. But after that, we may actually go into this direction. I'm doing some of that now in the background when I have time, and I'm fairly confident it will land maybe before summer, something like that. I'd love to do it at that point in time. When I dial a knob, it takes a lot of time to process the change the online gear. Does it have to do with the 60-second delay I have between the server and my connection? No, that delay, the 60-second delay or notification that you get when you enter the app is actually just for booking. So that one has no bearing on streaming. Regarding the delay or latency between you changing a parameter and hearing the feedback, it really depends on the internet. We are trying to make it shorter. Already now, for example, we're here in Denmark and the gear is in Slovenia, so quite a few hundreds and hundreds of kilometers away, and it's working very fast, but if we went for a relatively bad connection, like over 3G or something, yeah, it would be much slower.
Yeah,
and
it
flaky.
can get to seconds. So
Yeah.
let's say 3, 4, maybe even 5 seconds.
So I think the message here is
Yeah.
it's a bit out of our hands. So we will definitely improve the latency internal in the Mix Analog, like inside what we do, because we do have some buffering inside. But when it reaches the internet, that's the most important part. So that takes the most time. I mean, if that's fast, then you will definitely have low latency. But if not, then you're going to experience quite a lot of that. And let's see. Okay. Please do something about the huge wait times to use the gear. I agree, and we've actually done that today. So today, for the free gear, it's not going to be a popular decision, I think, but we're changing the amount of time that you can book free gear for per day. So if you want it for free, then it's half an hour. So half an hour of 1176, and from then on, you'd have to pay something like a few mat to use it. We're just hoping that it's going to deter people who just take blocks of 1 hour usage, and that's not fair. That's not fair to other users who actually just need 15 minutes or half an hour to process some of their tracks. So we've made this change today, and hopefully it will make the wait times much smaller. So about analog instruments, so there was a question of whether or not we could go into that. I believe that's the question, at least. Yes, we are. First, we're looking at guitar amps, to be honest, and we have a good lead, or let's say more than a lead. It's already an ongoing relationship with a collector of vintage boutique amps. He's been a backline provider for a number of decades now. And I believe that guy just would like to stop renting out his ultra expensive Marshall and Jubilees and Voxes and Fenders and so on. And he would rather see that they don't get bumped and shaken and so much.
Yeah, well, storing a vintage 70s Vox
Yeah.
AC30 in a, let's say, controlled environment and
Yeah.
always on the same place is probably preferable to renting it out to people on rock festivals. Less chance of beer getting spilled over the
Oh, yeah.
over the tubes.
Yeah,
so.
or just getting knocked over or something. You know, it doesn't take much for a 50-year-old amp to get bumped up, and it's something you need to fix, and maybe it will never be the same again. So anyway, so we're talking to this guy, and I believe we are near to getting a sort of working relationship where we can announce it more publicly. So we are hinting at reamping, yes, but in a live way. So you would get to change the settings of the preamp, or the preamp of the whole guitar amp, of the mic position, of the cabinet routing, and the preamp settings on the microphone preamp.
Yeah,
So
well,
that's the end game. I think maybe the first version might be a little less involved. So maybe just 2 or 3 heads and 2 cabinets. I think this is something.
yeah,
we
I think
talked about.
with the system that we have running right now, we've learned that if we postpone the release of something new until it's full blown and perfect and everything,
Yeah.
it takes too long.
Too
so
long, yeah.
we'll probably release
Robots,
that
yes.
in phases. But yeah, the how we imagine this service to be at the end is, as Bojan said, with automated mic stands, with automated amp parameters, with choices of different cabinets, and of course, probably at least a preamp with input and output gain automatable, so you can, let's say, drive an API preamp. That's
Or an Eve.
something I would very much like to do.
Oh yeah.
Maybe even put an EQ after it, but yeah, we'll see about that.
So, yeah, we're going to go into that direction if possible. So I believe we have a good guy that could enable us to do that, and if it checks out, then we'll do it. But mix analog is our baby, so you know this is the main stuff we do, and then these kinds of things we have to be careful so that we don't start working on that a lot, and then mix analog would suffer. So I wouldn't settle for that. But if there will be a good, let's say,
Well, general direction I would say would be please buy as much tokens as you can, so we can hire more people and get
Oh,
shit done faster.
yeah, well, that's one way of putting it. Yeah. So anyway, your idea should be implemented in every major studio in the world.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we'll see.
I would sign that any day.
Yeah, I guess so. It would be nice.
Lots of work, but yeah, would be nice.
So, where are we from? So we're both Slovene,
Mhm.
and currently we're in Denmark. We're guests of SoundHub, a accelerator, a business accelerator specifically for sound technology and music technology and stuff like that. And yeah, so we've had to split the team in 2, but it's been worth it. They're treating us very nicely here. I was thinking that maybe on the next webinar, maybe next week or something, we could make a tour of the place because it's really nice. It's brand new, and there's quite a lot of things to see. Right?
we'll have to figure out how to stream all that, but we'll probably figure it out.
Yeah, we'll try. So,
Is it best to record an amp with a real mic? Are you doing something like that?
yeah,
Well-
I think it refers to the reamping idea.
Yeah. Let's say it's a personal taste thing, because a lot of engineers today just use
Kimper.
Camper or other, let's say, pure software impulse responses, and they're getting great results, and they're releasing great music that sells a lot. So I don't see problem using software emulations or impulse responses. But for me, I still like to do the reamping like the full-blown way with heads and cabinets and microphones and everything, because you get something unique. You get the, let's say, family sound of a Marshall amp if you're using a Marshall amp, but you're never going to place the mic at the same position. No two cabinets sound exactly the same, and etc., etc., etc. You can plug in tube screamers and other funny little pedals between everything, and
just to be, for me, that this is just personally, an amp in a room at a certain gain where it's almost rattling, and you move the mic back into a position where the bass blooms. I haven't heard that anywhere else. I'm not saying it's a useful sound for every occasion, but if we want that, I haven't heard anything come close.
So far
yet.
you cannot buy a plugin for that.
Nope. No, at least not for my ears yet. So one other interesting question. Alan is considering a holiday in Slovenia, and if he can bring us some beers. Yes, you can most definitely bring us beers. I will drink most any beer. Ziga is a bit more picky. He only drinks non-alcoholic beers, I believe.
Sorry, I'm a straight edge guy here.
Teetotal. Very hardcore.
But yeah, welcome.
Yeah, you can do that. You can come to our HQ, have a look at the gear. We'll give you a grand tour and
a good cup of coffee.
Yeah.
So we're, how do I say it? Forget it.
All right. Any chance of more tape machines? We would like to get our hands on a Studer.
Yeah,
we've been thinking about it for a long time, and if cash flow allows, we'll definitely spring for it. And I think that would be a very good, let's say, contrast to the Telefunken we have right now.
Yeah.
Another one I'd really like to get is something tube-based. So that'll be harder.
Yeah.
But I'd love to. I mean, I love the tape sound we get. And I'm thinking, add tubes to that, like something like a great sort of Ampex, vintage Ampex.
Yeah.
I'd do that in a nanosecond if we could get. Yeah.
But those cost an arm and a leg, so.
Yeah, maybe it's.
Sometime.
Maybe we can find a collector and persuade him to let it go for some time, because that's one of the I believe nice things about mix analog is actually we especially like tape machines and stuff, the upgrades that we do to make it available on mix analog are non-destructive. So the gear can just be downgraded back into the state it was before, and that means that if you have something lying in your basement or and it's a nice vintage piece that people should get a hold of, hint, EMT, hint, then we would be happy to take that over from you and work out a deal where you get some of the proceedings.
Maybe another answer to Vikramjit. How do you spell that? I don't know.
I won't venture a guess.
About the Revox. Revox is actually Studer repacked as a consumer device. So if you are buying a Revox tape machine, all the inside PCB cards have a Studer logo on them. So it's the same circuitry and same everything, but usually they run at lower levels, so lower loudnesses, and they don't have balanced XLR connectors. So if you want to hook them up to professional converters or even, compressors and everything, it's much better to get a Studer because it already has the XLR balanced connectors and the right levels to interface with Pro Gear.
Cool. Do we sometimes tap into the audio feed on users' chain and listen to what crazy stuff they're working on? So the short answer is no, never. The long answer is we can't. So the audio interface that we use to interface with the burls. It's a single client. I don't know if you guys know what that means, but it means that only one software can use it at the same time. And analog-wise, the gear is under lock and key in a separate room, so our offices are actually a few doors down the hallway, and the key is only available to 2 people, so myself, and now that we've split the team in 2 halves, another guy, and we don't open those doors lightly. So the same as with files. We don't want to listen to your files. We don't want to have access to your files. And the same goes for the live audio. It's your personal stuff. We don't want to deal with that at any point. So it's yours.
I think this whole stream is going to be available as a video on YouTube later.
Yeah.
So if you want to watch it from the beginning, where we made a short intro, or it turned out not to be so short, or demo of our product, yes, you can watch it later and you're going to catch everything.
Yeah, so I believe that's how it works. I'm hoping that's the way it works. I believe it worked that way for the previous, when we had a live view in our machine room. I believe those are still online if you scroll to the bottom of our YouTube channel. So I'm hopeful this is going to be the same. We're doing this for the first time, so not really sure. All right. Would you like to show the controls tutorial of the Telefunken? Marek, can you? Oh,
I
yeah.
can check if it's free right now.
Seems
so
to be.
It's 16.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so if I understand, you haven't used the tape yet, and you'd like to see what it looks like? Yeah, sure, we can do
Okay.
that. Let's do it.
So back to
Back
here.
to this thing. Where should our controls be?
Yeah. I'll go to the live session.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I believe the video is okay where it is, right?
Yep.
Cool. Okay.
So there's not much controls available for the tape machine.
Yeah.
Because for
Yeah.
the moment being, we would not like people to mess around with settings on the tape machine too much.
So maybe told nicely,
yeah.
it's so temperamental. We are not giving you a lot of choice with it, but we believe that the choices that we did make are good ones for now.
Yeah, because at the moment it's running at
15 IPS.
15 IPS.
Yes.
And
So even though the machine can do 7.5, it's really hard to change it. Like we would
was,
need to make
I think it was not even available on the remote. So
exactly. So it's not
you
available
set
on
it
the
and
remote.
forget it.
So we'd have to open it up. So for now, the only settings as such that you have access to is the gain staging. But that's actually the most important part.
Yeah.
So maybe Ziga can take it away on the gain staging.
Yeah. So when you output the file from here, you can adjust the digital output level with this knob. So if you really wanna hit it hard, you may wanna adjust this so you're barely not hitting the
output, yeah.
the output
ceiling.
clipping, because the clipping on the output sounds really, really ugly. So
Yeah,
try
don't do it.
try to avoid it at all costs. And this little box here is actually a automated analog volume controller, pretty similar to what you would find on studio monitoring controllers.
Controller, yeah. That's actually the first reason we made it for, but
Yeah.
now it's repurposed to be a gain stage
Yeah.
box in front of the tape.
And all in all, you can push your level up to 6 dB with all of the controls maxed out. So at this point, if I would be hitting 0 on the I/O box and with 6 dB gain on the analog volume control, I would be hitting tape at plus 24 dBu.
Yeah.
And this is a, let's say, pretty destructive level for a vintage tape machine.
Poor tape. But you can do it.
Yeah, but you can do it if you wanna. But you actually might overdrive the converter input this way.
I think it
So-
really depends on the material.
Yeah.
If your material compresses well with tape, then there's not going to
Yeah.
be that much level coming out. But if not, then yeah, you can actually be clipping the 80s.
Yeah. And that's pretty much all of the controls. If I run the tape, this number here is going into a countdown.
Yeah, it's a
And
countdown.
This is a approximation of how much tape is there left on a reel. So if
Yeah.
you happen to get, let's say, 2 minutes
Mhm.
here, and it counts down to 0, it's gonna start
Rewinding.
the rewinding procedure sooner or later.
Because we don't have it in an endless loop. That would be too bad quality.
Mm.
So instead we have a whole nice big chunk, a big reel of, I believe, 40 odd minutes of
Yeah.
audio can be fit on one tape. And when you are monitoring or bouncing, you're actually using that tape. And when it comes to the end of the 45 minutes mark, it will rewind back to the beginning. And this is, you have an indicator here that tells you how much is left, or at least our best guess, because it can vary a bit.
Yeah, it's, let's say, plus minus 1 minute in
Yeah.
the whole 45-minute reel. But if your playback stops and you cannot get it to
Start
back
again,
to
yeah.
play sound again, it's probably rewinding if this number here was close to 0.
So just take note of it before you
Yeah.
start, and so you'll know what's happening. We need to improve this, of course, so hopefully you won't have to worry about such things in the future, but right now that's the way things are.
Yeah, but the whole rewinding procedure takes roughly over a minute. So
Yeah,
you're not going to lose half of your session time because of that.
I think it's actually longer, the rewind. I think it's more like 2 minutes. It's actually quite some time.
Oh, okay.
But it's still something that's not too bad. You can wait for it in your session. So actually, one extra control that would be maybe interesting is flutter. Do you know how would that work?
Control.
Yeah,
Flutter.
I don't know.
Flutter is a physical phenomenon that happens with tape. So to control that, you would have to adjust the head position with the screws and
Oh.
tension and everything.
So good idea, but we won't do it because
Yeah.
we don't want to mess with the tape machine's head. So okay, how much server space per user is available for the audio file? So right now we don't limit it, so you can put up as much as you like, but we are actually running out. So we have, I believe, over 5 terabytes. But we will have to start deleting some old stuff maybe, or upgrading the storage. One of those things will happen in the next few weeks. You'll definitely be notified, and maybe there will be something like intermediate solution where we're just going to find some users who haven't been using this for months and email them if it's okay. We can delete their stuff and upgrade the storage at the same time. So for the rest of the year, I believe we're going to upgrade to at least 10 terabytes. Okay, so
The speed of the tape is 15 IPS.
15 inches per second,
Yeah.
I believe. Yeah,
That's it.
okay.
And yeah, if that's a fun fact you would like to know, this M15 model only goes to 15 IPS.
Yeah.
It does not do 30. So unfortunately, that's the fastest and the best quality that you can get from the M15.
Yeah, it doesn't do 30, which is, I guess, one of the other reasons why we could get a Studer.
Yeah.
Because a Studer would go to 30 IPS, and some people like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind.
I find it too transparent for tape. Well, you can drive the input electronics, but for this tape frequency bump to happen,
Yeah.
It's I don't know. It sounds more pronounced and more tapey at 50 nips.
Yeah, it's more gluey.
Yeah, we will get this to there eventually.
So moving on, show how to drive input. Can we do
Sorry.
that?
Yeah, I think
Do we still have time?
I thought we were finished, but there you go.
But I don't think they're seeing the screen, right?
No, I accidentally booked. Yeah, I'll book a session of tape and I'll switch back to mix analog. Well, what the hell? Let's do booking. Okay. Here.
Right.
Okay. So, booking 101. Select tape
Tape.
machine if you want to use the tape machine. Select the next free slot. That's right now.
15 minutes is fine. Yeah.
15 minutes is fine. It costs less than as advertised because I'm not getting the
full
whole
15 minutes. Yeah.
the whole slot. And go to processing.
Now let's drive that.
Yeah, I'll make those bigger. Select
So-
a file.
So I think we should go to a loud part so that we know
Yeah.
how much headroom we have. Wait, actually, that's
That's a bug
yeah.
that we're fixing right now.
Everybody's falling apart.
Okay, so we're hitting roughly -5, so I think I can give it. The low difficulty.
Back together, but everybody's falling apart.
So this is the gets off of tape quite a lot. Yeah, you can put
One more thing. Why we implemented the gain in such a strange manner with 3 knobs is that the electronics of the tape float around with room temperature just a little bit.
yeah.
And with age of the tape and with maybe a little bit of oxide on the tape head.
Yeah.
And this is why sometimes you can get the discrepancy of half a dB, maybe a dB between left and right channel. So this is why we implemented the separate left and right trim controls here.
Yep.
And a master level on top of that. So you can
So you can adjust the two channels independently. If you need more right channel, just grab the right trim and increase that. And you will get a nice even centered image.
Yeah, just a, let's say, pro tip.
Yeah.
I have a simple sine wave at -12 or something like that uploaded as one of my files that I keep in my files directory all the time, so I can do a quick stereo balance adjustment on tape and on Fairchild, and those are the two oldest designs and that are most let's say fickle about temperature and everything.
So there's one more question. Would we be adding more analyzing metering tools? Definitely. So the one we're looking at right now is Luf's metering and a goniometer. I don't believe we are thinking about a frequency response meter. I mean, like an FFT. But
Eventually,
eventually
maybe.
we will add it. But right now, I think the gonio and the Luf's metering, especially, definitely has priority. So, any more questions? We'd love to answer a few more. And if you guys don't have any, then I'll have to ask Ziga some weird questions.
Yeah.
Or he'll ask me weird questions. Thank you,
Okay.
guys.
Thank you. Thank you for watching.
Yeah.
Actually, we're 1 hour and a half, and that went like
That went very, very fast. So, yeah, you guys have been a good crowd. I'd actually, yeah. Anything else?
yeah.
you
If,
want?
if there's no more question, I think we can wrap it up for today.
Yeah.
And by how this first live webinar turned out,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I think we're gonna do more.
Yeah, we'd love to do more. So
Definitely.
expect this to be happening about like every week or so. We hope. So we set the bar quite high, I guess, every week. That's
Yeah.
maybe going to be hard to pull off, but we'd like to. So that people can get a glimpse of what the whole product looks like and ask any questions they like. So yeah,
Let's
that's about it. Yeah. So if you have more questions, ask them in the online chat or send us an email. There's an email link on our webpage. Or if you'd like to ask them like interactively, you can wait for the next webinar and we'll be replying to that then.
yeah, and maybe a side note to the chat window or chat icon that's inside our app. Me and Bojan are actually the ones who are
Oh, yeah,
doing
yeah.
all the support. So
So if you ask something,
yeah.
you're asking us. So
Yeah,
and
no
feel free to
difference.
do that.
Okay, thank you for watching. See you on our next webinar.
Bye bye, guys.